Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video, and welcome to the middle of nowhere. I'm currently sat on a wet bench on a wet day in a park, and I'm doing this because I cannot get my GoPro audio to work, and it's driving me insane. I'm not gonna lie. I hate to start the video off with such a negative, but yeah, twice. Tried recording this video twice, and both times my microphone or my GoPro, one of the other, is just not working. I'll include some footage now to give you an idea of what the sound sounds like. Yeah, it's annoying. But here we are. Welcome to today's video. Let's get the negativity out of the way early on. Okay. It's been an interesting 2 weeks for me. Last week I nearly died. And I hate to say it so bluntly, but I'm just not sure how else to say it. I went into hospital on Thursday and I was told it was a 50-50 chance of whether or not I would pull through. Unfortunately I did, and that's why I'm here today talking to you. And I'm very thankful for that. I'm not downplaying it. It was very, very scary. Ironically, for a few years now I've always said I'm not scared of death. But when it's presented to you as an actual option, changes quickly. I was very scared. I cried. It wasn't nice, but I'm not going to do the cliche thing and say it's been a huge wake-up call. I don't believe in Jesus and I'm not a vegan now, but what I will say is that it has given me a focus. I want to focus on how I'm living my life and the quality of my life and where it's heading. So that's been really, really good, really useful. It was scary though. It was scary. And I only mention it because it will explain why I've been very quiet or slow in responding to the comments that have been coming in on the McLaren video. So let's talk a little bit about that video because I don't want to focus too much on it. We are going to be making a follow-up. And we are going to be addressing some of the comments, more specifically the questions. I thought that was rain then. Please ignore the wind that's come out of nowhere. So just over 30,000 views now, very cool. Just over 400 comments, also very cool. A lot of mixed comments, some are positive, some are negative. Some are people's opinions, perspectives, experiences, and that's great because it's really cool to have such an engaged audience. And a lot of the responses are not just, this video is not very good, you look weird, blah, blah, blah. A lot of them are real, comments. And I think that's really cool. And I say all of this to say that I am going to begin to respond. Some of you may have noticed that I've responded to your comment already. I am working my way through them, trying to get around to the rest of them. But follow-up video coming soon. Don't want to talk too much about it for now. Just watch this space, okay? But talking of opinions, I shared an image this week of my car in the snow. That was from the other day. I went out, tried to record a video on that day, and you guessed it, GoPro didn't work then either. Really cool to get out in the snow. Shared an image, really cool image, if I do say so myself. And I asked you to ask me some questions, and what it made me realise is that my community posts aren't as engaged with as my videos are. So we're at the complete opposite end of the spectrum. 4 people responded, and let's just go through those responses right now. Now, what I can only imagine is that people who are subscribed to me are also subscribed to other larger YouTubers. So what I think is happening is my posts are just being lost in the fold, or at least that's what I'm telling myself. Maybe people just don't actually care, but let's just go through these responses very quickly. So Henry Healy asked, what are your thoughts on the new A35/45? The A45 is rumoured to be around 60k new, which is absolutely mental money. So, the current A45 I'm not a fan of. I don't like the way they look, sound, They sound like a Fiesta with a back box. I don't like the interior, and they're not that fast. So that's my opinion on the current A45. I'm not suggesting that every A45 is slow, because it does depend on the driver, and of course on roads around here it's going to be marginable between, say, myself in my car and someone in their A45. It really comes down to who's braver. But to be honest, you could say that about any car. If some old guy's willing to give it some in his Octavia and I'm not, he's probably going to win. But I've just never been a fan of the A45. They just do not do it for me. That doesn't mean I'm not a fan of Mercedes. I actually think the C63 and E63 are best in class, but when it comes to hatches or hot hatches, I think Audi just have the competition nailed. So the A35, don't see the point in it. It's got 350 odd brake horsepower. It's more powerful than an S3, granted, but I don't really get it. It's almost I can't quite make it to an A45 yet, so I'm going to get an A35. At least that's how I see it. And you know, when we start seeing them on the road, it may be very different, but I don't like the way they look. And the interior is really cool. Mercedes absolutely nail interiors, that's their thing. But just like the sound of my car is only one element of it, the interior of the new AE class is only one element. And it will be really interesting to see how the A45 drives. It's rumoured to have around 414 brake horsepower, and that 14 brake horsepower has a lot to make up for. Because the gearbox in the current A45 is just not very good, and that's one of the reasons why, in a straight line at least, it's not that fast. So it will be interesting. I'm not blown away by the looks, like I said. I'm sure there will be an Edition 1 variant, which will probably be that higher price bracket. I'm just not a fan, I think is the answer. I'm not going to be buying one, that's for sure. There is rumours that Audi are going to be releasing a performance variant of the RS3. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but it would be safe to assume that it's probably going to have some form of facelift and more power. So 415 brake horsepower, for example, because Audi and Mercedes seem to like playing this, you know, back and forth game. The new A45 also has, I think, a drift mode, or maybe you can just drift the car, I don't know, but that's cool. They're obviously marketing the car towards a certain audience, because drifting a car means that you're 102% more of a man and definitely a driver's driver. So they've done well with that in terms of marketing, but for me, it's not really my cup of tea. Oliver Wise Fitness has asked me, how long are you planning to keep it for, and if keeping it, will you stage 1 map it to turn it into an animal? So this is actually a really interesting and timely question, Oliver. So my plan is to keep the car for another 6 months to a year. I'm not quite sure what I'm going into next. I'll come back to that bit in a moment. But with the stage 1 map, so I haven't made a video about it because the way it was done was very random. The car was having some work done, some other work done, and the guys who owned the Audi garage were working on a TTRS and had the software. I'd kind of done them some favours, so we all thought, sorry, we've got the software, we've got the kit, should we give it a go? And that's what we did. So my car does have a stage 1 map. It's around 468 brake horsepower, give or take. I've noticed minor changes to the way the car drives. It's definitely a little more aggressive on the pull-offs. Yeah, it's an absolute beast. I think I'm getting moss all over me, but anyway. So stage 1 map, 468 brake. Not sure of the foot-pound, didn't go into that much detail. I need to have the car properly dynoed and actually pay attention, but that has been done. So in terms of keeping the car, I'm torn. I don't know whether to begin to think about what's next in terms of my main car, i.e. do I go down the C63 route, do I wait for the new M3, etc., or do I keep my car and buy a second car? And this second idea is what is appealing to me more. So I've been on Auto Trader almost every day. I'm a little obsessed, to be honest, looking at Fiesta STs. It's an odd choice, I know, but for 10 grand, it's a great daily car, just something you can throw about. I still stand by this, that the Fiesta ST is one of the greatest cars I've ever driven. They're not the most powerful, but as a complete package, they're just so much fun, and I really like them. I've also been looking at EK Civic Type Rs. There's a few floating around on eBay at the moment. Quite a few of those are imports as well, so that's very appealing. I love Civics, specifically EK Civics, which is 97 to 2001, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but love those cars. I've had a few. I would love a Type R. I'm not sure. I need to go and test drive one because it's been 5 years now since I have driven a Civic, so I might get into it and completely hate it. Might be looking back with rose tinted glasses, but that's definitely an option. Would you like to do a video with Deadpool and my M2? Yeah. And then someone else has commented ginger nuts. I actually like ginger nuts, to be fair. The biscuits, I assume you're referring to. I like them. I like a ginger nut. I did go over the top of them at one point and ate too many, but I like them. I'm not a biscuit lover. There's only a few I like. Dark chocolate digestives, custard creams. You can't beat custard creams. And yeah, probably ginger nuts. That's about as far as the biscuit loving goes. But I'm going to wrap this video up because I'm waffling. My hands are also going numb. But what I do want to say, and I do want to just get a little serious just for 2 minutes of your time, is I want to say it's really important that if you are struggling with anxiety or depression, that you talk about it to someone. I know in some cases that's easier said than done, but just try and talk to someone about it, whether that's a family member, a friend, or even a professional. Don't be ashamed of that. I think as men, we do not talk about this stuff enough, and I think it's important that men have an outlet to discuss this sort of stuff freely. You know, we all go through different challenges in life, and we all handle those differently. And I think sometimes, and I'm guilty of this too, we try and just fight our way through things that will inevitably beat us down. And sometimes just talking about it helps, getting a different perspective or trying to unearth what is making you inherently unhappy can sometimes be really useful, as negative as that may sound. Just talk about it. It's important. We need to take our mental health seriously. Of course, physical health is great. It's great to look great. But mental health is also just as important, and being focused on, you know, living the best life you can is important. So I hate to end it on such a sober note, but if you feel like you need to just talk or vent, you know, pop a comment on this video, or, you know, slide into my DMs on Instagram. I'm a bit slow to respond, but I'll always talk to people if needs be, even if you just want someone to just sit and listen, and just, you know, or just read if you're typing in Instagram. It's important. That's why I will say. So on that note, on that rather sober note, I'm not even sure if that's the right word, but you get what I mean. Driving video on my car coming soon. Part 2 to the McLaren video coming very soon with Mark. I've got a whole host of other content planned as well. If you would like to appear in a video of mine in a similar format to what Mark did, feel free to reach out with serious inquiries only. Don't worry, I'm not going to charge people, but, you know, I'd be interested to talk to interesting people, and just hear about some of their own experiences with car ownership, car finance, etc. And that doesn't just limit to supercars either, just, you know, whoever, reach out to me. My email is on my about page. But with all of that said, it's time for me to wrap this video up. I hope you all have a great week, and until the next video, peace.